Hey, I wanted to join you guys today to talk about some of the news coming out of the DNC, which I'm sure we've all heard the past couple of days. But first, I'm reminded of a quote from the late and great George Carlin, who used to say, "It's a big club and you ain't in it." So as we speak, the Democratic Party is actively purging Bernie supporters off of its national committee. Babs Sipperstein is gone. She was the first transgender member to serve on the national committee. In the name of diversity, they took her off of the national committee. James Zogby is gone. I wonder if that has something to do with the fact that he's also on the board of Our Revolution. What I wonder. And meanwhile, who are they bringing in? Well, they're bringing in lobbyists from Fox News. They're bringing in lobbyists from Citgo. And they're bringing them in to join lobbyists from Goldman Sachs. That's right, the head lobbyist for Goldman Sachs sits on the Democratic National Committee. So something that I wanted to talk about is that they used to ask, when are they going to learn? When are they going to adopt a progressive platform? But the question is no longer when are they going to learn? The question is now, when are we going to learn? When are we going to learn that the party isn't going to change? It has no intention of changing. It's undergoing a power grab against Bernie supporters right now. It has left on the Rules Committee of the DNC, there are no longer any Bernie supporters in the entire Rules Committee. They didn't even give a symbolic token supporter. So the Unity Commission and all of its recommendations are going to go to a committee that is full of Clintonites and that has no Bernie supporters. And that committee, the Rules Committee, is the one that controls the rules in the Democratic primary in 2020. What a coincidence. So let me get this straight. No Bernie-crat belongs on the National Rules Committee, but Donna Brazile does. Donna Brazile, who cheated. Donna Brazile, who is the one who was brought in to replace W. Wasserman Schultz, who was taken off of the National Committee for having cheated against Bernie Sanders for having rigged the primaries. And then soon after, it just took 2 months for us to discover that Donna Brazile had also participated in rigging the primaries against Bernie. And then she's rewarded with a post on the Rules Committee because apparently she's more deserving to design the 2020 primary rules than Bernie supporter, the folks who are being purged from the party. So there's no reasonable basis anymore to maintain an expectation that this party is going to reform. And so the question's now, when are we going to learn? When are we going to say, hard stop, I've had enough of this, and it's time for a new People's Party? The party that now a record number of Americans are calling for. 61% of Americans are calling for a major new party. It's a number that has never been recorded by Gallup before. 2 out of every 3 Americans practically are calling for a major new party. And it's incumbent upon us as the progressive movement to, I think, follow their lead. This is really a pattern inside the Democratic Party, and to which you're going to see no end. Who among us thinks that this is going to end in the Democratic Party? Who among us thinks that at their winter meeting, they're going to change course all of a sudden? They're going to decide that Bernie-crats deserve representation. There's no basis to believe that anymore. They dangled the DNC chair's seat in front of us. The Democratic Party doesn't give us real concessions. They're not interested in bringing us in. That's not what they do. Rather, they just dangle carrots on sticks in front of us. They dangled the primary in 2016 in front of us as a carrot on a stick to progressives. Stay in the party, stay in the party. Maybe you can win. It was fixed. The Democratic Party primary was fixed, as we know now. And then they moved on to dangling the chair seat in front of us, the DNC chair seat, the next carrot on a stick. But that was fixed too. That Keith Ellison, the first member of Congress to endorse Bernie Sanders, was the compromise candidate in the DNC chair's race. And you know, he went so far, he went so far actually to the right in an effort to win the chair's race, that he endorsed a billionaire in Florida who cheated his way to become the state party chair. He walked back on his promise to take corporate money out of the party, out of the DNC. He did this all as an effort to try to win that seat, and not even then would they take him. That's because they had no intention of allowing us to really have a shot at the DNC chair. That wasn't the purpose. The point was to make us compromise our principles, the very same principles that led Bernie Sanders to be successful in 2016. Those are the principles that win. Nobody's inspired by this party, by the Democratic Party. Nobody's inspired to come out and vote for it, volunteer for it, donate to it. Trump and the Republicans are still perceived, like they were in 2016, they are still perceived as the anti-establishment alternative to the Democratic Party, which is seen by the public more as the party of elites and big money. The Democratic Party's brand is destroyed. And now it's up to us to ask, really, what are we going to do about it? We were never meant to win these posts. And I wonder now, to what appalling depths does this party have to sink before we say, enough is enough? That question that Bernie posed in November about whether the party's going to reform and how it needs to has now been answered. It's now a question in retrospect. Now we know the party did not reform. It's past tense. And the question isn't what now? The question is, what are we going to do about it instead? So with Draft Bernie, we are doing we're working on just that. We're working with our new coalition building focus to build the largest coalition for a People's Party that this country has ever seen. Because Lincoln's Republicans replaced the Whigs. Do you see any more Whigs around? They replaced the Whigs in just 4 years. And at a time when the country was actually much more divided over the defining issue back then, slavery, than the country is now. Now there's near unanimity against political corruption, against taking big money. There's near unanimity among the public for things like a reduction in crippling inequality. So it has been done, it can be done. It will take a coalition of progressives coming together. It will take a recognition that this party, the Democratic Party, has no intention of being a people's party, and it is not going to be the vehicle for the political revolution. Just think of the immense amount of resources that we have sunk into changing this party. Millions of dollars have been spent by the DNC in an effort to bring people into the Democratic Party. Millions have been spent by their billionaire donors. Millions have been spent by a lot of Democratic organizations, Dem reform organizations, progressives, trying to bring people into the party. And instead, what we see is that, just like it's been happening for the past 15 years, people are leaving the party. They're still leaving. So ask yourself, if Bernie Sanders, the most popular politician in the country, who's working tirelessly to try to bring people into the Democratic Party, and Donald Trump, on the other hand, the most offensive modern president this country has known, if those two cannot convince people to come into the Democratic Party, then what can? It's time to, instead of trying to force the public into an approach that they don't want, it's rather, gee, let's listen to the public. Let's ask the public, where is it that they want to go? And it turns out that it's not rocket science. The American people are telling us what's going to inspire them to the polls. 61% of them, 2-1, saying, we want a major new party. That's what we want. That number has gone up by an astonishing 15% in the last 5 years. Independents are now a plurality in the United States, a large plurality. So it's time to stop sinking resources into this party and say, enough is enough. We're cutting you off. You didn't learn your lesson, so we are going to learn ours. So join us. Join us on our weekly Thursday calls. You can find the posts here on Facebook, pinned to Facebook, where we're talking about exactly what it is that we're doing to replace this party. Exactly how it is that we're building the coalition to replace this party. Because it's going to be hard work. But guess what? It has to be done. It's the only way that we're going to achieve the kind of change that we set out to do. It's the only way that we're going to finish what we started on the Bernie campaign. So thanks for joining me on this beautiful weekend afternoon. Have a good day.